Weed for the People podcast, episode 14. Got a real treat for you guys. We got Ted here, founder of Alien Labs, also creative director of the Connected Alien Labs fam. Just blessed to have you on. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Yeah, no problem. I've always been a fan of you. On the Catalyst stores, of course, are in our family. I think I came down to these stores when they were still Connected.
Connected, yeah. And,
met the team. I still have contact with a lot of the managers now, bud tenders. So I love this place.
See, there you go. That's the first advice. That's how you sell weed. If you don't know the managers, you don't know the bud tenders, you're not going to be selling. So just started off, you know a little bit or a lot of bit for, some of the garage, grows that was the original, way you guys kind of got moving in the game. Tell me about the history, how that went, and how you got, till the legalization part and crossed over.
Yeah. So when I turned 21, I moved to San Francisco, and I got my med card. This is just about the industry, like where I'm from in Redding, like you grow weed, or your family does, selling packs. That's just like what you do. I always joke that you're either a weed guy or you're a firefighter, and I'm not really like set up to be a firefighter. So
you could be. You could.
Yeah, maybe
say something.
Carry like a baddies out of a burning building. But I did weed stuff all growing up. But then I moved to San Francisco, and I got my medical card, and I saw I would start going into stores, and it was just insane. Like San Francisco is really ahead of the curve on stores. They had stores that were I remember when Prop 64 really started rolling, they were like, this is the Apple store of cannabis or whatever. And man, they already had those in I'm 37. So this is, 16 years ago. Where does that put us? Like 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
They already had the Apple store, weed stores down there. And there was super grungy ones that were always better too. But so I just saw this industry, and I kind of pictured what it would be like for it to evolve, and that's when I was like, I want to be in this, this industry. And that was also during the Cookies time, when Cookies wasn't really a brand yet, but it was a strain, and Burner was bud tending out of the hemp center. And that was one of the clubs I'd go to. So I just got to kind of witness that whole thing. And then I moved to Sacramento for a little bit. San Francisco city life sucked. Like I just wasn't into it. I'm from Redding, so it was so different. It was fun, but that was about it. It wasn't like a great place to live. And then I moved to Sacramento for a little bit, and I got a job at a dispensary as a door guy. And I put up my second grow, because I grew a little bit in San Francisco with one of my buddies. We took a closet out of our apartment, and we turned it into a grow. That was the first time I really harvested like an indoor grow, and it was pretty good. I got clones from Oaksterdam. And then, so in Sac, I started as a door guy, moved my way up to bud tender and then manager. And so I got a lot of connections, and I learned a lot. And then I moved back to Redding, which is where I'm from. And I started managing my buddy Tyler's collective, and I set up my own grow, just 6 lights in my house that I was renting. I didn't tell my landlord. I just built a sick grow out in the garage, full build out. And then I started just bringing the weed down to Sacramento, LA, just various clubs, and it was super good. And then I would also buy some of my boys' shit that was growing good. I gave out cuts. I got some cuts from a couple of my buddies in San Francisco and also here in Sac. And we started just growing and moving the packs. And then we started calling it Alien Labs. There was a whole thing coming up with the name, but basically Alien, at the time, our weed looked so much different than anyone's. Like there was a few, Tyler, who was, used to be co-owner with me. He was growing super good weed. My buddy Scott was growing it for him. And then mine, and then one other of my buddies, and I was always bringing everything down, and it was just out of this world, but also we were just different than what was at the time. Like the Cookies kind of was there, but there wasn't any really other brands, or like collectives of people that were doing it. So we just felt that we were different from that. We're from Redding. This is like, we're not rappers or anything, so that term alien really means outsider to me too. We were outsiders to what was, and then our weed was just crazy. So it was like a lab, it was like lab grade, medical grade weed. And which, yeah, everyone at the time was, but this shit was like really different. Like you could look at it and be like, this is nuts. People hadn't figured it out yet, but back then they have now. They've caught up, but back then it was out of this world. So Alien Lab just kind of fit. And then we kept doing that, getting it into the hands of the right places, really getting it to the right stores. That was how you build your brand at that time. Was the Green Wolves, the fucking Connecteds up north. There was a bunch of other stores that were super good. And then, you know, Prop 64 hit, which wasn't great for us because in Reading, it was a banned county and city. They were like completely against it. And then we just kept doing our thing. Like, fuck it, we're not going to be able to do it, you know? And Caleb came to us from Connected and he was like, hey, we want to keep your product in the store. So if you want to come and take one of these grows down here and run it, like, you know, we'll do that. And then we'll figure out what we're going to do after that. And then that turned into, of course, us partnering up and Connected and Alien becoming one, which is what we are now, you know, a partnership. And then, yeah, fast forward 4 years, Alien Labs, Connected, you know, together, the biggest brands in the game. Separately, you know, we're pretty close to the biggest too. So it's
yeah, I'm pretty sure I was checking today. I think that this month or the Alien Labs is the biggest top shelf seller that we got going at Catalyst. So props to you. It's, you know, funny what you said about Reading. I know like 6 or 7, maybe I do work in the cannabis industry, but I know 6 or 7 people from Reading. I used to know people that everybody grows in Reading, so I didn't know that. It's but it does seem like it's
yeah, it's like what you do.
Yeah.
Cops don't care. Like, it's just totally like, you know, it is what it is out there. Like, that's what you do. That's a big part of the economy out there. And it still was really until pretty recently, where now a lot of my boys that were still out there growing are like shutting down, doing mushrooms and shit. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I see, you know, it sucks. It sucks for everyone. There's no black market, white market. There's very few people right now successfully growing weed and selling it and making money.
No, I think a big part of what we're doing here is like, man, if you're still fucking standing, you're a fucking hero.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, it's, you know, and you know, as we move further along, even some of the guys we butted heads with, you know, we're all peacing out, smoking cigars. Like, hey, look, there's a big wave about to come. You know, federal legalization. Let's put ourselves in a position to deal with that. Let me ask you, you know, so when you were growing in the garage, you know, was it just you? Do you have partners? Like, you know, what was kind of your function when you were, you know, actually cultivating?
Oh, I grew. Right. Yeah. At the beginning, you know, I grew. I had, of course, like my roommate helped me too. So like we would switch off watering, but man, I was on the forums looking up how to grow early age, you know, looking at all this stuff and just absorbing information. And then eventually, you know, it comes to a point where, I mean, in the Alien Labs lifespan, I had to move to SAC. You know, but before that, I took a partnership with my buddy Tyler, who was growing super good weed. You know, I mentioned him before, and we split Alien Labs up, and that was it for a while. You know, they were taking care of all the grows, and I was in SAC, like trying to secure our future. You know, I moved. I was like, okay, I'll go and try and get us licenses and shit. Like, there was no one else to do that. You know,
right?
And at that point, you know, I was the one that knew more about the business and just a lot of the things that, as far as the networking was concerned, that you had to do. Cause like you can know about business, but you're still not going to go somewhere and get a license unless you have, you know, the proper network in place. So after that, it was really like, man, I'm not, what I'm best at isn't gardening.
Right.
You know? So we kind of let Connected take over that portion of it. So that was good, I think. Cause I mean, I know guys say, yeah, like we love being in the garden, but at the end of the day, bro, you don't really want to be in the fucking garden your whole life.
I think to each their own, but you know, I think what I've seen, you know, I say like, you know, as a CEO, you know, you're kind of putting together a basketball or a football team.
Yeah.
So like there might be one guy that just loves to run the ball 3 yards in a cloud of dust. There might be another guy that, you know, is fast, likes to hit the receivers. You got to have your linemen, just getting everybody in the right position and optimizing the skill set. What was, when you were doing the garage grows, did you have multiple ones going on?
No, I mean, I only had the 6 lights until we partnered with, until I partnered with Tyler, who had like 40 something. And I think he had about 48. And then I think it ended up bumping up to like 60. So I like at our biggest, you know, right before Prop 64 really took over, like I think in 2018, where it was like, okay, now you have to really show where it originated from and all these other things. Yeah, 60 lights, man.
Wow, that's amazing. So what do you attribute, like, because, you know, just hearing that kind of for the first time, I would have thought, you guys had 15 garage grows and, because the name was so big and out there. And, Alien Labs is, we were joking a little bit on the, before we started, Canna Famous. Think it's a real thing. You're definitely at least that. But what do you attribute the Alien Labs name? Like, how was it? So you got 60 likes, which isn't nothing, but at the end of the day, I bet you if you, just took a random poll of who was out there, people would be like, oh, they had 10 garages, they had 300 lights. So what do you attribute like the ability to kind of capture, obviously the product is always the first important thing.
Definitely the main thing for this. Like I said before, man, like our weed was so much fucking better than everyone else's. Like it was otherworldly. Like people would just go, it was like really crazy how much different it was, And
then what do you attribute? So like, you're obviously on, a lot of shelves if you're even, getting on there, but just getting people to be aware that, Alien Labs has got this killer weed and that,
social media really was huge for us. Like I knew how to use the internet and like really get to the heart of how to grow on social media early. But then also I was seeing the other like people and stores and accounts that had a huge presence, and I would target those. Like Green Wolf, I said that earlier, they had a really big presence online. Jungle Boys was another account that had a huge presence online. And so we got into TLC, we got into Green Wolf, and we used their audience to kind of boost ours. And then too, like we just had, at the point that we came into the game, I didn't know about all these other brands, and I started learning about them when I started getting into social media, But everyone is posting pictures and videos of their plants on the plant, like live plant shots. That was the whole thing. And we came in with dry nug shots.
Right.
And that was a huge, still is. I mean, we can't use social media like that anymore. Right. But when we post that type of content, like it goes crazy for us. And that also just knowing who to get it to, like at the times, because those people were, famous plugs or whatever, right. They were still cannabis famous people before all this,
they're
getting those people, the right rappers, the right whoever, having the weed, that was huge. But yeah, I mean, having the right strains and quality was the biggest thing for us, because we also, we're introducing strains just like we do now, but nobody was really doing that before. They were all like, oh, I got this one cut that I really like, and they were just producing a ton of it. And that's all people really needed back then.
Yeah.
But we were always hunting for new shit, always putting out new shit. And that still continues. Next year will be 10 years of Alien Labs. So like 10 years now, we've still been doing that. We've pioneered. I mean, I look at the internet nowadays, I'm like, cool idea that you got from us. We did that 6 years ago.
I was going to ask you on the IG thing. I got clipped yesterday for 24 hours. Got it back. Have you lost your account before?
I've lost the Alien Labs account 10 plus times and Return of the Alien like 2 or 3 times.
Right. So how do you walk that line of like, and I don't think anybody knows exactly where the fuck it is, of doing something that's cool. I mean, now I kind of have an idea, but then, there's the haters and everything, and, keeping the account.
We just don't really post shit.
Right.
I will every once in a while. And like, if I know something was super hot, like I posted this thing and I was like, hey, I was like, good morning to everyone except people who smoke Jeters.
Right. Yeah.
And it went fucking crazy. Right. Like, man, I'm watching the view counts go up. Like it's like 10,000 an hour and then boom, it's gone.
Right.
And I'm like, yep, that's how it goes. Like if something really goes viral for me, like quick, and it's going to go crazy, like it'll get deleted. But I got a video on there right now that has 1 million views and
a million.
Oh yeah. 1 million views, like 100 and something thousand likes. And it's there, but it's funny because it's just this guy and I'm in LA and I'm like, yo, let me get a hit of that. And he's like, oh, you want some, bro? It's cracking crystal.
Yeah, that's funny.
And it's just funny, but that type of shit stays. So weed isn't good. Cracking crystal, solid.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. Well, I like to, you bring the alien stuff in and all that. This is kind of just an oddball question. So, being Alien Labs and then you market it around the aliens. Now all of a sudden the government's coming out, and saying like, hey, this might be real. I'll ask the question, but I believed more in aliens before they told us they might be real, which kind of is ironic, but
yeah, I can see that why.
Because I don't know one way or the other, but just since you are Alien Labs, a little off the wall, non-weed question, I don't know if you've been following that.
No, I have. I think it's kind of like almost obvious, but I see, what's really fucked up is that Russia really has us so fucked up that we have no American, no person on earth in America knows what to believe anymore.
Right.
Someone would be like, yo, there's literally aliens, bro. And people are like, dude, it's a psyop.
Yeah.
I'm over the psyop shit.
Yeah.
Every single thing I said this the other day on some shit, and I was like, the biggest psyop is our teachers not letting us use Wikipedia when we were writing papers in high school. Bro, what? You guys hated Wikipedia from day one?
No, 100%.
But I just think that like there's a lot of evidence that aliens and UFOs are real now, and we're all facing it down, and we're all kind of like, this is bullshit, you know?
No, I mean, look, I think just the law of large numbers. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other, but the universe is a big place.
That's how I feel.
The odds of there not being another Earth-type planet with water and not having some life seems really low.
Really low. Yeah.
Right. It's just, because it's bigger than, you could ever, possibly comprehend. Let's talk a little bit about, let's bring Caleb into the conversation. Shout out to the OG who,
he is the real OG.
Yeah, just mentored me. Everybody who knows him, will say, hey, he did me a solid here, did this. So, but he's coming next week too. We got a lot of history. It's been just,
he's excited, man.
Yeah, it's been real cool to, for him to, even today, if I need a solid, he'll do it. So how did that, merger come to be? I was kind of up in the mix a little bit there too. And, we were talking a little bit before you got on. One of the grows, we, got licensed together with Connected, but, how did you guys end up getting that synergy so that you were like, all right, I'm going to get down. These are two powerhouse brands. We're going to put them together and go fuck some shit up.
Well, so we met, Connected was like, it was Fruit Ridge Health and Wellness back in the day in Sac, and that was like a well-known place. Even for me, I would go get, like, if I wanted some fire, or like one of my boys was in town. I remember specifically one time Wu-Tang came to Sacramento, and one of their managers hit me up like, hey, can you get these guys some weed? And I was like, for sure. So of course I went straight to Fruit Ridge and I bought like, an ounce, and then I had some shit. It was like some street weed. And I went to drop it off as at Ace of Spades, this concert venue there. And they were like, oh no, we want the street weed. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's like some fire OG that Fruit Ridge had. But so it was well known as a spot to go to sell your, if you had fire, like go sell it there, you can get a high ticket. And I'd always come down, and the little nerd, one time it was Nate.
Nate D?
Yeah.
That's funny.
And I was like a dick to him, because they weren't letting me through. Like they would look at the weed and they know it's fire. They know it's better than anything they have. Right. It's like, at this point, it's like objectively better than anything, And they would just be like, we're not buying today. And I was like, all right, whatever, dude. Like, fuck, I was never mean. I was mean to Nate one time. I can't remember why, but I was never mean to them. But then afterwards, I went to this clothing store that I would always go to when I'd come to Sac. Because I'd go to Sac, sell some packs, make some money, go shopping, go back to Reading. That was my thing. And I was telling the girl that always helped me, like, about this whole thing. Like, yeah, I would try to go to the store. They never let me. I was just kind of complaining. And she's like, oh, you know what? The owner of that place is my neighbor. And I was like, no way. And I was with my partner at the time. And I was like, if we give you $1,000, will you connect us with them? And she's like, yeah, for sure. So she texted Caleb and she's like, hey, is this all right? And he's like, yeah. So we got in a group chat. And then we stayed that night and went the next day and gave him some weed. And he was like, oh yeah, we'll take all of this. Like every single bit you can bring, bring it all. And we gave him at that time, I think we gave him a QP. We brought Dosido, which was one of our big ones. And we brought him a QP of Gorilla Glue. That was super fire. And he was just pumped on it, And so the rest was history on that. We started vending a lot to Connected. That was one of our main ones. And then North Star also was one of the main places we went. And then River City Phoenix was the other one. So in Sac, those three would pretty much source up. They'd take us everything we had. And then our relationship with Caleb just grew. He's a good guy. He always wants what's best for, the people he works with and his friends. So anything ever came up, we would hit him up for advice. And then eventually he was like, hey, like I said earlier, he was like, we want you guys on the shelf. We got a spot that we're not going to use anymore. Like, why don't you guys come take it over? So we did. And then, I believe in Caleb. I still do. Like, there's a lot of times I'm in meetings with him and I think he's expecting me to talk more or whatever, but I'm just like, nah, bro, you got this. Like, I have complete trust in you. Like, I don't need, I find myself a lot just going, oh shit, well, I was going to say that when he says shit, you know? So it's like, you got this, bro. And still to this day, like I've been with Connected for almost 6 years, it was 5 years in March, so 6 years almost, just working under Caleb and him teaching me about business and tons of other stuff. And I got this for Caleb, we run it up. So
no, he's definitely, and I would used to tell him, and not to get too deep into the history of, CEOs that were at Connected, I would be like, yo, bro, you're the fucking CEO, dude.
I know, me too.
If we were running up a fucking, a beach together and more, I'd fucking roll with you, right? And there was a new guy they brought in. I won't mention his name. Yeah. I actually like the old guy pretty good
too.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not.
We all felt the exact. I mean, I think everyone that worked for Connect, I'm definitely one of the longest,
right?
That's there still. But every single person that knew Caleb before and in the transition and shit was like, why isn't Caleb CEO? And he just didn't feel like he had, the skill set or whatever, right. But he did. And now he is the CEO. Right. It's like, yeah, dude, like, here's your crown. This is where you should have been. But he needed to learn just like, anyone does.
To this day,
even does.
Yeah. It's like, I'm still, you can't know, especially in this game. And like, part of it is just, trying to do it. And, there's all sorts of different, kind of theories on what a CEO is. And, chief visionary officer is like one of the theories, which I think if you have that, you could get all the other parts together, but, done a sensational job of that. And then again, always somebody that, followed. And then, if you look at all the people speaking in AD, boom, he's launched his brand. He's doing great. He's fucking killing it. And, Caleb's not one of those guys that's like, oh, bro, I fucking put that guy on. He's happy. He's the first one fucking, clapping and rooting you on. Funny little story about the Merced one. It was real early on. So, I was fucking driving around, just trying to get in, doing the whole thing. So, at one point that was actually licensed in our name. And we're a tiny little owner in Connected and Alien Labs. We threw in on some of the grows, the one YOLO grow that used to be there. And then the Merced thing, but it's cool that, it all kind of
it worked out. Man.
Yeah.
Merced is pumping out fire. So shout out the team over there. Like, they really have good weed. The whole team does. Every facility has fire, but like Merced is the thing that growing comes down to, I think a lot of the times, is just consistency and like batch to batch consistency. Right. And Merced does a really good job of like consistently having fire. Like, I can hang my hat on that.
I'd be curious to go back and check it. So the way I started getting down with Caleb, we had a mutual friend and I walked into the SAC grow, and I don't know, this is, maybe just 2016 or so. Prop 64 is just barely kind of getting pushed through. And I hadn't seen anything like that yet, right? And I was like, oh yeah, I want to get down with these motherfuckers.
No, that grow, was so many people's first big grow.
Right.
Like, I think that was built maybe 2014, 2015. And it was the first big grow in SAC for sure. I remember Caleb telling me like, oh yeah, we just walked the city through here, because it wasn't even legal. They just did it. They were like, yeah, we're going to build a sick ass huge grow here. And man, that's another thing about Caleb, is that he had some balls, man. I mean, you guys, I can see that in both of you, like where you guys cut from the same kind of cloth, but he was doing shit when it was still pretty illegal.
Right.
And he was doing it big. Like, I remember looking at his grows online when he was Sherwood Forest on Instagram and just being like, dude, this is insane. When they cut the fucking, remember him posting videos of them cutting the drains in the concrete, and we're just like, sick, bro. We have to like, the water's here. We just slosh it into the corner and use a fucking, a vacuum or whatever.
Yeah, and guys weren't computerizing their stuff back then, and they had the fertigation system. That's when I was like, whoa, okay, you got, I got a man crush on this. You're fucking doing it, right? So that, I think that's been a testament to the success of the brand. You guys are doing a collab with Collier. Maybe tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we do a lot of collabs with Collier, really. They're our main rosin manufacturer. I love those guys. Mark's a great guy. Joe, another great guy. Those are the two, heads. All the hash makers there are, legacy hash maker guys that I came up alongside. They wash about 1,000 grams of every pheno that we hunt. So that is like a ton of rosin. And then when we find good ones, we'll plant them and do special edition rosin drops. I smoke way more rosin and hash than I do flower. I smoke flower a lot too, but like when it comes to my daily consumption, I'm a hash and rosin guy. Like anytime I'm like, oh, I need to get high, I'm like going for my rig or my Puffco. Most generally my Puffco, like I pretty much use the Puffco 100% of the time now. Only Puffco too. None of the other devices, those are not as good as Puffco. And we put out fire, man. Callia makes the best rosin. We've tried a lot of vendors. We've tested out a lot of vendors. There's another one I like called Fully Melted. They're on Arcata. They make really good rosin. But Callia killing it. You guys carry them outside of our collab?
Yeah, no, they do
fire.
Yeah, they do pretty good on our shelf. Yeah, they're a little mover, and I think that's a good synergy that they got going with.
The people,
you guys for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Oh no, as soon as that name's on there, tell me a little bit about the clothing line. By the way, this fucking guys, they didn't know we were coming on today. Obviously a few did, but I was just laughing because I think 2 or 3 guys are wearing Alien Labs, just coincidentally swag in the shirt. For sure, our county guy rolled up. He's got the Alien Labs shirt on. I'm like, oh, we fucking must be on some sort of wavelength there.
Yeah, the clothes is cool, man. It's a separate entity. So we run that, completely separate. When we did our initial deal with Connected, we kept rights to the clothing. And that was always just something I was super interested in. I had a clothing company I started with my friends in high school. That was called Revolution. And I think back on it as like the stupidest name ever, but it was just a good experience, right? We saved up our money and, made a bunch of tees and we sold them all, but I don't know why. I think there were just too many of us involved. It was just hard, And then now together with some of my partners, we're in Zoomies, we're in Hibbits, a bunch of big stores. And then of course we do a lot of direct to consumer. The Zoomies has been cool. Like it's a learning curve, It's just like starting off brand new in Alien Labs. Like nothing's handed to you in the clothing world because you're cool in the weed world,
Right.
You really have to stand on your designs and your quality, and it's all the same, just starting over. Like I've been doing booths again. Like we went to this event for Zoomies called 100K, which every Zoomies employees that sells 100K in January, or 100K worth of merch through the year, in January, they send them to Keystone, Colorado for like a snowboarding trip.
Nice.
And then the brands come and set up. So you set up a booth and just, hang out with all the employees that sold your shit throughout the year. So it's been a cool experience. Like we're loved there. Yeah, they already were kind of primed with cookies. And then when we got there, they were like, oh shit, like the real big dogs.
Yeah.
So it's been cool. It's been a really cool experience doing the clothes, and we're not slowing down. We're doing an event coming up here at the end of September called PuffCon.
Right.
Which is Puffco's big like ode to their consumer.
Nice.
You get to, it's like 10,000 people or so out in their office, which their office is in a downtown LA that's doubles as a movie studio. So there's like a bunch of cute, cool like set pieces. Essentially, it's just like a big, big office building with like parks and shit in it outside of it, but still in the grounds. It's really cool. Like I've never seen a real event in like downtown LA where like the backdrop is, LA and shit. It's cool.
That's cool. So you guys participated in the ZA Olympics, right?
Yeah, we did. We took home best thing smoking, which was a pretty cool award. We did it with Skittles, which kind of feels like sandbagging to me. It's not our strain. Like shout out to Dirt Hogs that, they crushed that strain. That strain is, one of the best strains out. But it was still cool to win. There is definitely, I think everyone that takes part in that is rec.
Right.
However, like we're scaled. Like people don't really understand like the scale that we're at. Like people be like, yeah, I'm scaled, and they have like 200 lights. And it's like, dude, we have like, 2,500.
Right.
We have so much fucking weed that it's insane.
Yeah, that's
we're
great.
in 3 states. All together, I think there's something like 4,000 lights between all the states. So to win fully scaled is pretty cool. It's definitely a testament to the team and how hard everyone puts in the time.
Let me ask you that question. So like, how is it? Because, I think there's a lot more guys that can grow good weed, craft batches, 20, 30 light rooms, been in some of Connected's rooms, at least in SAC. I think they generally have about 100 lights.
Yeah.
How is it, like, is there any secret to being, without giving away the secret sauce, to being able to scale in that way and still be able to keep the quality control?
Not really. You just, obviously it has to be intent. You need to set out with the intent, like, hey, I'm going to fucking grow fire. Like nobody in our organization has ever thought anything other than we're going to try and grow the best weed ever.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't think that necessarily translates to other operators that are scaled. Like I think a lot of the time the the driving factor is money.
Right.
It's like, hey, we need to put out as much as we can for product. And like, yeah, of course we have to make money to survive, but no one's ever been like, hey, no, there's never been one decision made that was like,
not product.
No.
Right.
Every single decision ever, even me, like I'm, not always the most loved person in our organization because I'll be like, fire first, man, quality first. I don't care making money.
I've said this a lot of times where I think sometimes people go wrong is somebody who doesn't understand the product gets into a spreadsheet and they start doing numbers about, hey, if you did this, if you cut this corner, if you added this, if you pumped it and they're like, no, bro, you're going to fuck up your whole audience. And then if the quality's not there, they're not going to come back. You're not, you're going to run out of customers. There's a few exceptions, but if you look at the top 20 brands, there's a few exceptions and, whatever, respect to their hustle too. But, I can only speak for our shelf. The vast, vast majority of them are going quality first. And that's what keeps the consumer
that
coming back.
Brand healthy.
Right.
At the end of the day, like it's all about brand health, right? Like if your brand is healthy, you can sell product, and you cannot sell, your brand isn't healthy if you're just focusing on money.
Right.
Just like a human. I mean, if you think, think of Mr. Burns or something. I know it's like,
right.
like not the healthiest dude. So it's just been cool to be able to, some of the secret sauce. I will say that one, a bit of the secret sauce is being able to like be realistic with what you have too. Cause like, we don't always have the most fire batches.
Right.
But you don't have to package those if you have a little in the bank and can stand the hit.
Right.
So even like a lot of the most quality focused brands got to make tough decisions.
No, I don't think there's anybody. And look, guys know I'll fix orders, and every once in a while, everybody's got a batch that isn't perfect.
Everyone has bad batch.
And actually, it's super interesting what you said about maybe letting that batch go. I haven't really contemplated that as a thing that people do. But do you want to take the brand risk, or are you running on fumes and you need to, make a few bucks, and then maybe the batch is almost there and you got to make that?
Yeah. For us, the answer is always no.
No. Right. I love
like
it.
if there's a batch, I do QC for every batch, both brands. Like I QC it a couple times a week. I go there, I check I can't smoke everything. I wish I fucking could, but when you have this much weed, good luck. You could hire 10 people smoking all day. You couldn't smoke it all.
Right.
But I err on the side of, if this isn't a good look for our brand, because at the end of the day, man, your brand, you're accumulating things, real estate, whatever, assets when you're, growing. But at the end of the day, the most valuable thing you have is the brand.
100%.
Connected, Alien Labs. Those are the things that, bring value for not only investors, but for us too, like to be proud of.
No, 100%. Yeah, I think both. It's funny. I was going to say that. Not only is it a monetary thing, like you're putting your name on it, right?
Yeah.
Like that Alien Labs, I'm sure it means
me.
Right. Exactly.
That's the fucked up thing. That's like a gift and a curse, right? Because like at the end of the day, most brands don't have, people message me, I got the shitty eighth. I'm like, fuck, bro, sorry. Like, I really feel bad. I genuinely, anytime someone hits me up like that, I'm like, damn, bro, like I fucked up. Like, that's my fault. So I'll replace, I won't replace it. Don't hit me up. But, I'll do my best to do what I can to do that, because I don't want anyone to have a bad experience with our brands, No,
same as us. Like, even if they have not the most positive interaction with the bud tender, within reason, whatever it is, like, something I take personally, because at the end of the day, like, that's our fucking name. Sure. And, that's like, I got 4 kids and Catalyst. Those are my, babies, right? Yeah, that's what I keep my eye on. So I want to ask you a little bit about Florida. I know you guys are out there. I love seeing the California guys kind of migrate east, slowly, see Jungle Boys out there, see Cookies out there. How's Florida been as a market?
Florida's good. It's a good market for us, man. There's not high quality operators, flower, nothing out there. There's really not. Barren wasteland. So for us to be able to go out there and grow weed and, partner with True Leaf too. I know we get shit for that. But at the end of the day, we made the right decision to get our product into the patient's hands,
Yeah, my thing with that always is like, easy to judge the man in the arena, right? Like,
it's never somebody with anything going on.
Yeah. And I've learned to laugh, like, yo, bro, you're sitting in your fucking mama's basement. You ain't did shit. You got no fucking skin in the game, and you're going to throw, rocks from a distance. So I think those judgments are super easy. And at the end of the day, you build something good, you got to make decisions. And, again, if you want to get in the Florida market, how many ways in are there, right? And I just, I would caution anybody who's being judgmental on this shit, like, yo, walk a day in the shoes.
Yeah,
it's somebody that's in the game, fucking taking dick kicks on a regular basis, and really doing something. And then, I like the Teddy Roosevelt. I don't know the whole thing, but it's judging the man in the arena, right? Yeah.
I wish we had money like Jungle Boys and Cookies, because of course I would have loved to just be like, all right, we're popping up.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, man, Truly has been a good partner to us. They pay their bills. They fucking allow us to put out heat. I can't say much more. I don't have much more to say other than that. Like, they've done good by us.
I have one interaction with them, a very positive interaction, probably make an announcement sooner than later, but, haven't had any issues with them myself either. Not a full endorsement, just saying, speaking of, whatever. And then you guys are also in Arizona, right?
Yeah, Arizona.
Yeah. How's Arizona?
Another good, great, we're number one in Arizona, number one in California, just depending on kind of the month.
Right.
Us and CBX kind of battle it out, which is always bizarre to me. Like, what? CBX? But okay. But yeah, Arizona.
What do you think of CBX's weed? What I see a little shade.
It's not shade, but it's just like, if I were to ask 100% of my friends,
right,
like, yo, bro, you ever smoke CBX? They'd be like, no. And so when I look at the standings and I'm like, damn, these fools really put numbers up. I'm like, who is buying this? Because, it's not great. I mean, it's not bad. Like, they've been consistently like fine, I think I would say. But the other thing that blows my mind is the price point. It's like, they're like $10 more than us on average, and it's like, so this quality at this price point, number one selling, crazy. I don't know. That's just how.
Interesting take. I'm not going to throw too much shade, but they're not on our shelf anymore. Maybe they'll come back. Nothing personal. I love the CBX, but there was a little void, so other people are grabbing it, right? Yeah. And just. Again, I was interesting. You said that. I figured, hey, I'd
no, CBX is, like I said, man, they're fine. It's just like, it's always takes me back. Like, damn, really? Like, what? They sold this much of cereal milk only? Like, that's not even the real cereal milk. I don't know. That's for them.
And then all the tax rates and stuff are lower in these. I know, like Illinois high tax, New York high tax.
Oh yeah, way lower.
Yeah, like Arizona's like 4% or something.
Yeah, it's super lower. It's way Florida. I don't think there is a tax. Maybe it's just like regular ass sales tax.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with these other states. And like, I hope that other operators can get out of California, because you could never build a brand. Like, whenever I go to other states and I look at the brands, I'm like, oh, you guys just like, you're trying to be a California brand, they're trying to be a California weed brand. They're trying to be Alien Labs. They're trying to be Cookies.
Right.
They're trying to be this vibe of weed, because California has always been known for good weed.
I don't think that's ever gonna.
No state has ever been like, oh no, but that's where you go for fire. Only California,
Right.
So all the weed industry kind of naturally emulates that, whether they know it or not. They do. So you could never build a brand that's as big as like someone like us or Cookies or Jungle Boys or whatever in any other state. I don't feel like. But that's where you have to go to make money.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and I think there'll be ones that pop up that are localized, and I hope it'd be great. Like, we don't want to give people the scarlet letter because they're growing in New York. And
New York will be the one place that I've already seen. I've gone out to New York and I've seen growers out there that are growing in fucking apartments, in Brooklyn, fire. So New York will be the one place that I could see brands coming up that are, rivals to us, but even the time, that's the other thing, is like, we've already put in the time. Like,
no, there's so much. Yeah. And all that, just, in anything you're in, like, mistakes aren't a big deal. If you calibrate, improve, you're right. Calibrate, improve. But if you're 10 years ahead, that's a fuck ton of calibrating and improving. And then it's built on, whatever, let's say, conservatively 50 years of, culture, really hardcore culture. I think 30 years. They got a lot of, catching up to do. And California's always been kind of the supply mechanism for the entire state. I think the only place Cali brands don't do great. I know a couple guys who went to Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's like, get the fuck out of here.
No one does it.
Yeah. No.
Oklahoma's like, well, the barometer. It's funny because Cali got like, I know a lot of California brands that didn't make it here, and they're like, we're going to
Oklahoma, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, good luck, man.
They went the extreme other way where they just got fucking, you got to have some, I think, for it to work. Whatever, like caps aren't great, but like there's got to be some caps.
Yeah, there has to be some. There can't just be. It can't be free because that's what happens in Oklahoma.
Right.
And maybe when federal legalization hits, Oklahoma might be a good place to go. Right. If they're still a little more lax, because California, for all its regulations, is pretty lax. Right. When they don't enforce it all, right. No enforcement. None. But on the other side of that, even if they were to enforce the things that they're enforcing, not really that hard. Right. Like when you're in Arizona, like we just got, we didn't personally get the letter, but like everyone did, like, can't use these names. And there's like, it's like every fucking name you'd ever see in California, every variation of runts, every kind of candy. And then in Florida, hell no, they ain't letting you do shit. You have a white jar with your name on it. You have to shorten it. It'll be like 3 letters if you use the thing that's kid friendly. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I was talking to Josh. Their candy is like got all these asterisks. Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, it's funny because people actually think it's because it's C dot. He's like, they think it's something else, and it kind of works. But what the stuff you they can't come even up do that. Like you have to do. You couldn't say anything with candy in Florida. They'd be like, hell no. But there's like a way around it where they'll like take out the vowels. Like with gelato, they're like, you can't do gelato. And they're like, but you could do GLTO, and that's fine. It's like, okay. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. No, but there's kids out there that in alcohol, it's like sour apple fucking rainbow belts, vodka. No, it's like they don't care. No doubt. Fucking double standard. Do you think they're going to go rec anytime soon in Florida? Because I think Florida, if they win rec, if you imagine, and look, the medical cards are a little hard to get from what I know. And anytime a state goes rec, when they happen in California, we 3X because we had a couple stores, maybe it was like 3 or 4 at that time. They were medical. And then when they turned on the rec, Santa Ana was cool. They did it January 1st, 2018, I think it was. Long Beach took their sweet ass fucking time, bumped the tax rate a little bit. It was like 8 months later. But every time those got turned, huge. It 3X the sales more or less. I saw this like interaction. Trulieve has been lobbying this hard, millions of dollars. Right. They did this whole petition thing. They got enough signatures to get it on the ballot. And then the attorney general, they look at it and they're like, we don't think the voters in Florida are smart enough to know that federal illegal is still illegal. So even if it's legal here, people might not know that it's still illegal. So we don't think we're going to be able to do this. But so now they're talking about it, in a closed court. So we'll see what happens. But, Florida would be a good market if it was legalized. The medical shit is such a sham. It's real. Cannabis has real medical value, but you shouldn't. It's the type of medical value that you shouldn't like hide behind a prescription. Right. Well, and then like, I always say, where the fuck is the line, right? Like, so like, I've had people ask me this question, they're lame, and it's, I'm always polite because I want to educate people. They're like, so do you sell medical or like more medical or rec products? It's like, bro, like, okay, like, there's some CBD stuff that is clearly more medical, but like if you smoke cannabis at night to sleep and unwind, like, that's medical, right? Like, but it's rec though too, right? Yeah, and it's rec. Or like, because you enjoy, the effects. So like, if you have anxiety and you like to smoke throughout the day, or it helps you attenuate your focus, or it helps you get, more creative, like these two. No, I was kidding. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know where the line is. And to your point, I think it's stupid to hide behind a card. And like, you can go online here and get one in 10 minutes anyway. It just doesn't. Like I said, it definitely has medical purposes. There's specific things like Charlotte's Web, that can stop seizures and specific types of seizures. That is clearly medical, but that shouldn't be the thing. Like it shouldn't be, oh, this is medical or it's not, because even people that don't have a specific ailment that they know of can find relief through cannabis. And that's what I think is the most special thing about the plant is that, maybe you don't know that you need to be taken down or that you need to take it down a peg, maybe you're just a little uptight. You smoke some weed and you're like, oh, I remember one of my best friend's wife never smoked a day in her life. We all went to Disneyland, our families together. And I'm like, I'm going to get her to smoke, and she took an edible, and the whole time at Disneyland, she was just laughing. I was like, dude, you're the coolest person. Yeah, exactly. Like some people just need, some kind of relief from something and they don't even know it, and that's why cannabis to me is such a special plant. Oh, I say this with love and respect. It's been great in my marriage. I'm always like, yo, go smoke a joint. Come talk to me in 20 minutes.
fucking works. It's one of the few tricks that I've
me and my wife
figured out.
bonded over weed.
Yeah,
sure.
it works for me too. I'll get down a notch and be like, all right, we're all fucking
me too.
chilling out here. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting in Florida, not to get too political, but, DeSantis, whether he's actually against it or he's just, politically, beating the table. But, the theory is he might not get there, right? He doesn't look like he's going to get the nomination.
No, he's not. He's a clown.
Maybe they'll open it up, after that, because, I think for now, everybody's kind of set in their positions. They're looking at 2024, but it'd be cool if they opened it up. Florida, I mean, it should be rec. Every fucking state should be rec.
Every state should be rec. Federally, you should.
And then and speaking of states with bad weed, I went to fucking Illinois. We're kind of on the fence about two. We were just lucky. We just won them out there in a lottery. We threw in.
Damn, what's up? Illinois.
They're just they're retail. I know a lot of guys getting craft grows, but the problem is like 5 guys have almost all the canopy, and then what they gave out to the new guys is a lot smaller. But I walked in comp shop, moved my way around, and look, I'm not the fucking expert on the weed, but I bought some shitty ass weed for 76, $78 out the door. I was just like, whoa.
It is so fucked how the states with real limited licensing in places like Illinois do their customers, man.
They're getting like 4K. Somebody was telling me 3K.
It's fucking dog shit.
Yeah,
we probably couldn't get $500 for some of the shit they're getting top shelf for.
Oh, Bree would do this, right? But
she'd be like, no, hell no.
Yeah. Or maybe I got 8 on it, 9 on it, right?
But see, that's kind of the cool thing about states as well. Like I don't envy the customers there, but it is cool that you can see, we are able to see the change, like when we first started coming to Arizona, it was the same thing. It was like, man, this weed is bad. There was like one brand, maybe 2, True Med out there in Grow Sciences. They had some pretty good weed, but other than that, it was not good. And then we go into a state and we pretty much force people to get higher quality. They look at our weed and they're like, this is crazy. And then they're like, oh, so this is the bar.
Yeah.
And then they have to meet that now because otherwise they're going to lose their customers.
No, that's cool. It becomes a race to the top.
Yeah.
That actually is cool. Do you guys have any other, so you got Arizona, you got Florida, obviously Cali. Any other, if you can't announce it, or you got any plans?
No. Yeah. We're just kind of focusing on, a lot of our focus has been on just being better at what we do now.
Right.
And of course we're going to go to other states. There's always talk about other states where, I'm going to fucking Michigan next week with Caleb and, the group to check out some stuff. But at the end of the day, we felt like we could get much better in the states that we are already in, and California being one of those, the main one. And so we've been, double down on quality, double down on being good partners. I'm guest bud tending on Saturday, man. They got me bud tending.
Where you going to be at
Costa Mesa.
Oh, I seen it. Shit, I'll fucking maybe
come through, man. Come buy some 8s, bro. I'm gonna be your best salesman. You're gonna be hitting me up like, dude, I need you back.
Yeah, let's get it.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that, but just trying to be better partners, and just be better overall. That's really the name of the game for us right now, is just to get better, and anticipate. Obviously we want New York. That's a huge place for us, and there's no indoor still. It's like they're really fumbling in New York.
Right.
I went to New York a lot before they opened that legalization program, and was talking to people in the program, in their medical or in their legalization, they made like this task force or whatever. And I'm like, if there's one thing you guys can do, it's just learn from everyone else's mistakes.
They didn't.
Every single state opens up and they're like, you know what? We're going to do this the best, instead of just saying, these states did this pretty bad. Let's avoid those same things.
Right.
They didn't. They fumbled it, man. They fumbled it hard. That New York is the only place in the United States that can have a better market, as far as, transactions is concerned, than California. And they're just.
They basically did everything. They did everything that California did wrong. And just did
worse.
Did it the exact same way, and didn't learn. Look, over time, people know it's not going to work. If you want to have a functioning market, everybody's got to be playing on an even, playing field with the taxes. Speaking of LA, we battle in LA to get anything sold, because there's just so much product and traps popping up left and right, and you just try to compete with them.
Do the trap spots hurt you like that?
Well, it might. Yes and no. My take is this: I think the legal customer, there's guys that are on the fence. So we do a big blowout on 420, they'll pop over. But I also think there's something to the culture in LA that's I'm not going to buy from a dispensary. Fuck giving the man any money.
I think LA could be unique in that.
Yeah. I mean, look, you could do some decent numbers there, but it's just a battle. And then, if the traps pop up, I just leave it be. It's just like, hey, a trap pop. It's like, hey, let's try to fucking outprice them. Let's go to war with them.
Work.
Yeah.
For me, like, I'm from the trap, so it's always long live the trap for me.
Right.
But I wonder about those type of things. And I think as retailers, specifically in LA, because like there isn't really trap shops in Sac that I know of. Like I couldn't name like a store, even like I could name some in LA, but I could see how that affects you a little more than us as a brand. I feel like if you're a rec customer, you're a rec customer. And if you're a black market customer, you're a black market.
No, I think there's a lot of truth in that. And then at the end of the day, like people who have the plug already, they're just going to go to their plug.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, you know what I mean? And then like, Long Beach kind of tough market would do a little better, but the same guy that's been slinging weed since we were growing up is the same guy slinging weed to all my friends. The people I went to school with, they don't buy weed. Like there might be a few, they'll like be proud of themselves, take a picture. I had a buddy of mine go in the other day, like, oh, you actually got pretty good product and prices. Yeah. It's like, thanks for.
I think they'll find now too that like it's gotten better.
Right.
Because when you first go, when rec really first hit and it was like Candescent and all these shitty brands, like 100%. You walk into a store and you're like, fuck no. But now you go into a store and like, damn, there's actually some good brands right now on the shelves. Like, I like Blem.
Yeah, no,
Fire. Fig Farms got some good shit. Of course, Blueprint. Those are my homies, but they're super good weed.
Yeah, that's cool. He's cool as fuck. Yeah,
yeah, those are good guys. And then Super Dope. They have good weed. I love their whole aesthetic. And of course, us, we have good weed. But man, you couldn't name 2-3 brands in the beginning.
Well, I think the other difference too is as it got more competitive, which has been hard on the the vendors a little bit. The pricing was able to get that's a little bit more reasonable. So, what was 80, we might be selling today at 50, right? Yeah. So like guys are like, oh, it's 50. And then, there's a lot of value shoppers out there. We're moving shit at, good organic weed out the door at 20. I was just talking to somebody on the way here. In LA, we're doing, we're just basically calling them black market busters. We're selling the astronauts, their traditional does at $5. We're selling organic, Coastal Sun at $10. Just come in, check it out.
Check it out. See what it's like. Yeah. I'm a consumer, so I like to shop. I've always been like a person that would like to go into a store. Like my plugs always had good shit and still do. Like with rosin, I still buy a ton of black market rosin. Like the best rosin still, in my view is still out in that area. But as far as flower is concerned, man, there's great shit. I wanted to bring that up because I watched the Royal Key episode today. Right. And you were like, yeah, man, I like organic. Like you could tell a difference. You really think you can?
I mean, I think like, am I going to say like, if I blind taste tested me, I'd be able to find the organic. Maybe there's a little bit of, placebo there. I do feel like it has a little bit different flavor to it, but like probably if you called me out, and were like, yo, bitch, here's 4 fucking smoke it. Can you tell? Like, I don't know, but like I feel like it's just a little bit different on the head, and it's just a little bit different flavor that I kind of get a sense of. So again, maybe a little bit, but I don't think there's one way, right? So just because it's organic doesn't necessarily make it better than than something that's not organic. And then people throw that term around fairly loosely. I do think Royal Key and No Till Kings, that's real.
I haven't tried that shit. But
yeah, it's good weed.
I heard it was.
Yeah. And look, it's super interesting to see. And then the guys up in Oregon, that's mostly how they have been growing for a long time. And you walk in, it's all different. Like they don't care about THC percentage. You'll see shit up there from like outdoor, it's like 16, 17. We're like everybody knows that if it's 20 or less, you're dead. For the like don't even bother. Like get the lab to put 20 on it. And then the indoors, maybe tops out at like 24, 25. We're here in Cali, like you got guys hitting in the 30s all day long. So I'm curious. I'm always curious to see how that one works. But I do think the consumer is getting a lot more gamed up on the
definitely.
Like, dude, just stop asking, right? Like it's probably at least a 6 or 7 point curve, and B, and it's not to say they're fixing it. There's probably a way to do it.
I don't think it's fixing it either. It's just like, I think there's no standard with testing. Right. There's no standard. No 2 labs are testing the same way. But yeah, I mean, I think if you just look at a nug and you say, yeah, this thing is 40%, 40% of this, there's no fucking way. There's no 30.
Yeah.
You know, I remember right when legalization hit, people were testing already, like, especially up in North, they were already testing stuff like in the in the 215 days. But then when legalization hit, they started testing and it was lower. Everything was hella lower.
Right.
Like in the low 20s, maybe to mid 24 was high.
Yeah, exactly. It went from like mid 20s to fucking mid to high 30s is
right overnight.
Right.
You know, and in Arizona and Florida, the testing is low. Right. Everything tests same exact strains here.
Right.
Will be, 35, and then in Florida it'll be, or in Arizona or Florida really, it'll be like 22, which is realistic to me. That seems a little more.
Yeah. My guess is, and I don't get big on the lab side, is they're either like taking the best nugs, so they're not like cheating, or like it's missing a little water, or they do, like
something. Yeah, I don't know what.
Legit, but like, whatever. Brown
every
down.
weed, every eighth has inflated numbers. Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
Look, I'm sympathetic to them. There's pressure on them.
Oh yeah, me too.
Right. That like, hey, and then, I just know from, selling some of the, the more value flower, like you'd get you don't see it at all anymore because it was a kiss of death. Like you get a 17%, like
over.
It won't sell. And there's good weed that's 17%.
Oh
yeah.
Retailers will kick our shit back at like 27, 28, still.
Yeah.
It's like, but I feel like you guys have a more educated customer base because you've been doing this. You're not, people that just own tons of stores generally don't give a fuck what they're selling as long as it's selling. So they're fine with customers coming in and saying, what's the highest THC? And them going, here's the highest THC. Here you go. And those chains tend to be the ones that are like, oh, we need it, everything 30 or only. You guys are like educated. Your bud tenders are educated. Your managers are educated. I've never been to a Catalyst and been like, oh, these fucking people do not know what they're talking about, which is not true for every store. I go to a ton of stores, and I'm like, I remember one time I went into a store and I was like, what's your best thing? And they're like, oh, the strawberry banana, like it has 35% THC. And I'm like, not my place, No,
I'll comp shop guys, and then I always like fiddle with the bud tenders, and then you're like, some of them are pretty good. And then, the other thing that I'm glad we don't do or we don't have is a house brand. So then it kind of gives them the
friends.
Yeah, it kind of gives, and we've been offered, hey, again, it's like,
of course.
But I'm like, no, dude, we like, people don't give a fuck about no Catalyst weed. Like,
really don't. Yeah. No, it's not even Catalyst weed. It's just any house thing doesn't do as good as any. Like I remember the movie theater I go to at my house, they went to, all the candy was fucking Cinemark branded candy.
Right.
Like, dude, no one wants that.
And then like, why am I going to take a good brand's weed, which would be the only weed we'd want to sell, and like put it in a package and call it ours when it's already theirs?
It's already good and branded.
Yeah. And then, I always say that the growers and the, the people that are manufacturing products, they're really the celebrities in cannabis, right? And people are like, hey, this fucking Alien Labs, carries weight, or whatever it is, carries weight. Like, why would you want to take that away? Yeah. And then and we try our best. Speaking of education, is like, so we got like 130 brands. We're up to 160.
Wow.
And this is just like trying to do our best to like bring all the legacy guys in, do the small batch, give a variety.
Supporters of,
but we gotta like rock that line of like, yo, bro, you gotta fucking move it. So let me ask you that, like, you go around to the stores, you interface with the bud tenders, give us a little like strategy on how you do that, or how that kind of goes down, and how helpful that is as far as them getting to know you, and ultimately
it's the biggest. I mean, it's the biggest thing. Like that is, I didn't go into this, but like a big part of our success was like how open we were, because at the time you have to understand, like drug dealers, which is what we were 10 years ago, there wasn't a distinction yet. They weren't open, and especially weed growers, they were not open. They were like, oh, I'm hiding what I'm doing because I could get in trouble if anyone finds out, tons of reasons, valid reasons. But what we did was allow those consumers to come in, talk with us, interact with us, hang out with us, all that. And we built a really good community. And like at the time, I think it was just, now it's like, duh, or maybe I didn't know at the time, but like now to me, it's like, yeah, you build a community, duh, that's what you do. Like that's how you build a brand, But at the time, it was just a natural thing that we were doing, which was like interacting with our customer base, answering questions, like just hanging out with people. And those people ended up becoming the bud tenders that we know at these stores now. And even now, my personality is just like that. Like I think a lot of people in my position end up letting that go to their head. you know, because Alien Labs is this huge successful thing. And like, you think, oh, now I'm going to not do the things I used to do, but I still go to all the same events. I still hang out with the people, you know, I'm for the people. Like I love your guys' weed for the people thing because I resonate with that a lot. Like I'm for the people. Like this is really, you know, I do this for the people. It's not really like to make money anymore, you know, like we already did that. I mean, I'm not fucking a millionaire or anything, but like we already did that.
To stack a little away, but at the end of the day, you know, you could do both. And I agree. If you start with the customer and the patients first, that's just going to be a recipe for success. And same thing as us. Like, I think it just came to us naturally to interface with the people and to, you know, build our community within the community, right? Which is like kind of our own little ecosystem at Catalyst.
Yeah.
And the brands that have done a good job of becoming part of that community, when you look at the scoreboard, you're like, okay, that fucking makes sense.
Bud tenders.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the bottom line of it, man. I love going in and hanging with bud tenders. That's why like I'm stoked to guest bud tend. I can't wait for like the manager to be like, you're fired.
Right. I'm gonna check your production.
Yeah, check our production.
Let's see your average ticket.
Might need a job. But no, I mean the bud tenders, they really are the workhorses of this industry. They obviously, you know, you guys probably do a much better job than many places, but they don't get paid enough. They don't get, you know, benefits, or it's the same thing as, you know, it's capitalism, right? It's just hyper capitalism because it's a little sped up, lots of turnover and shit. But I've loved how you guys have maintained your.
I always say a good bud tender worth their weight in gold. Man. We get the real hustlers like, yo, this guy, don't let him go, right?
I love going to stores and just being like, you know what, I'm going to buy all you guys eights, and just buying everyone eights. They love that.
No, that's cool. And they appreciate it. And for me, I always want them to get swagged out and be proud to be wearing that Catalyst jersey. So man, I could fucking go on all day.
I know, right?
That was a good hour. Like,
you did great.
Dude, little wrap up question. I mean, you know, any, you know, things ahead for, you know, for the Connected Alien Labs duo, you know, things on the horizon, any big picture stuff?
Next weekend or next Friday, I might be wrong. It could be tomorrow. I think it's next Friday though, but the Cherry Fade from Connected drops. Really good strain. Like I'm super pumped on this one. Super fire, great taste, great effect, all of it. And then, yeah, man, just looking forward to more states. Hopefully, you know, we can do some stuff out of the States too, because that's huge on all of our mind right now. Just, you know, it's funny how I tend to get caught up in thinking that like we're at our ceiling. And I used to do this a lot more, but just being at your ceiling, because in California, like we're pretty much tapped out. Like what else could we do here, you know, besides just get better? But there's 50 more states, well, 48 for us. There's, you know, however many more countries, or fucking 8 more continents. Like it's crazy. The sky is really the limit with this. And you know, as long as we have partners like Catalyst and you really, even on the other side of that, just not a part of Catalyst, just fighting for, you know, weed for the people, man. Like we really need that. So I applaud you for doing that type of shit when I'm scared. Like, I'm politics shit, but you know.
Well, I appreciate that, and I really appreciate you coming on, man. To get someone like Ted from Alien Labs here. So
I'm just a nerd. That's what I say.
It's like me too. I'm just some fucking nerd.
Yes.
But you know, real treat. And look, our histories are forever linked together, and you know, we're sprouted from that family, and it's just cool to see everybody evolve and grow together. And you know, look, if you're running around Catalyst store and you're in there for whatever you're doing, make sure you look at Connected Alien Labs, not just the flower, all the way down to the vapes. They're fucking just bringing it. And look, the hookup is good. It seems like it's going to be indefinite. We're definitely bottom dropping it. You know, some of that comes from their end, some of that comes from our end, which is really cool. You know, speaking of giving it back to the people. So, you know, shout out to Ted for coming on. And yo, if you're going in the fucking store, if you're a bud tender, make sure you're recommending that Alien Labs and Connected.
Yeah.
That's all we got. Weed for the people.
Thanks, bro.